Pasta leaves lots of room for interpretation, but even such a universally loved food has some rules you should never break. Straightforward as it may seem, cooking pasta isn't just a matter of boiling noodles in water. In fact, there are a lot of factors that can affect taste, texture, and overall dining pleasure. Yet, of the many rules to abide by, there's one faux pas that you should avoid at all costs, and that's breaking the noodles. For many, tradition and even superstition cause pasta cooks to leave their lengthy strands intact. However, the reality is that breaking long pasta strands kind of defeats the purpose of the longer noodles in general, which are supposed to be wrapped around a fork. When left in their original form, any number of long pasta, from bucatini to linguine to maffaldini, can easily be wrapped into a flavorful bite. It's precisely their length that allows the saucy noodles to perfectly cling onto a fork in a tight and mess-free bundle. That said, when these nearly 10-inch strands are broken into shorter noodles, they actually become more difficult to eat, as they can't be twirled efficiently, nor can they be simply stabbed due to their slender shape. Plus, breakage can also be a challenge during plating. When supported by a ladle, longer noodles drape around serving tongs better, which allows for a neater presentation. Since we eat with our eyes first, resisting the urge to break noodles proves just as important from a practical standpoint as it does visually.
Must resist stupidity impulse.
Of course, there are situations where it seems sensible to snap longer pasta into pieces. For example, if you're working with a pot that's too small and noodles that are too long, you might be tempted to break the noodles in half. However, the solution here is simple. You can either invest in a larger or oblong-shaped pot, or wait a few seconds until the wet ends of the noodles have softened and they can be fully submerged. If you're thinking about splitting capellini and bigoli in half to prevent strands from sticking together in the pot, a drizzle of olive oil can minimize clumping, but frequent stirring should also be enough. If, however, breaking pasta is a deliberate choice to make your dining experience more pleasurable, we suggest opting to cook shorter types of pasta. Sturdy penne, spiralized gemelli, curved conchiglie, twisted cavatappi, or cartoonish rotella can all be great substitutes for ribbons of pasta that prove too long. Of course, you could always just practice your fork twirling skills as well. To make the process easier, begin by stabbing a strand or two of pasta with your fork. You can also use a spoon for extra guidance, although this isn't always deemed proper pasta eating etiquette, so it's best to limit spoon use once you've built confidence. After the pasta is secured, simply flick your wrist to help wrap noodles around the tines of a fork, repeating several times until you've twisted the perfect forkful. Unfortunately, no variety of long pasta is immune to breaking. Chances are that, in any given package of pasta, there will probably be at least a couple of broken noodles. However, there's no need to worry about a few stray pieces intermingled with longer strands. Fragments of pasta won't compromise cook time or flavor. The only risk is the pasta's appearance, but it's likely that the odd split strand will nestle into a pasta bundle seamlessly. However, if you have an older box of pasta with lots of broken pieces, you can still put them to good use. Drawing from the traditions of cucina povera that saw nothing go to waste, you can use the snapped pieces in a soup that needs some bulking up. With all this in mind, it's also important to acknowledge that sometimes pasta is actually meant to be broken. ZT, for example, is made in about 9.8-inch strands. Before the noodles started to get sold pre-cut, snapping the pasta into several fragments was actually standard procedure. Once the long strands of ZT were broken into their desired size, they could be used in baked pasta dishes. What can we say? Some rules are meant to be broken.